telling you, it is the definition between an entrepreneur and an employee. The employee goes to the cliff, looks over the cliff, says, is there a balloon down there? Do I be safe? What happens if it breaks? What if I land on my neck? The entrepreneur, they said, we need to jump off the cliff, backs up 10 feet to get a fucking run.
This town needs an enema.
Fuck.
Who are you? Where's Commissioner Brady?
I mean, come on. You guys take beat me.
Too stupid!
You don't really think you'll leave? Things change.
You got me? Who's got you?
Everything changed. And anyone who tells you different is just lying.
You know who this is? This is Mark motherfucking Sylvester.
Nailed it.
Ow, that
Got it
hurt so
that time.
bad, but I
Dude.
did it.
Oh yeah, you hurt your wrist.
Both of them.
How? Both of them?
Yeah.
Damn, dude, you're falling apart, man.
I know.
You
it's
turned
what
43 years old. Now you're falling apart.
All downhill. All
That-
downhill.
I only have like 4 more months.
And then you're done, baby.
Then it's done and it's over.
Yeah.
And it's
pretty
over.
much.
Oh
Yeah.
jeez. No, like I hurt my I don't know if it's arthritis. My
Yeah.
fingers are starting to hurt. I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Like, remember when we were 20?
Do I?
You know? Remember when the body felt good, healthy wise?
Not hurting just to wake up. Like
Yeah.
I need Tylenol just to start my day. It's horrible.
Ibuprofen.
Yeah.
That's my best friend all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend it to anybody out there. Yeah, let's do that. Well,
But we
how
still
you
look good. We look good. I'm doing great.
Absolutely, we look good.
Doing gr-
I mean,
doing
like
gr-
that's not the question. You know, like,
Yeah.
that will never change. I mean,
No,
come on,
No
come
cap,
on.
as the kids say.
Yeah. How you feel, man? How you doing?
Doing great. Doing some getting back to penciling. Feeling
right.
better. So I'm loving it. You know, like look, I gotta blow my own ego. Like I can pull out some good tricks. You know,
I
it's
like
fun.
it. I like it.
Did some stuff talking to Kayla on the phone last night, so that was great. I'm just doing good. You know, it's the fall's coming. I like the weather.
Yes, I'm
You
happy
know?
about that.
Yeah. What about
100%
you?
Happy about that.
What's shaking?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Wrestling, fighting with the printer, as you and I were talking about before. When it comes to the book, you know. So, but that is what it is. I'm working through that. We're gonna figure that out. We're gonna get the book out here to everybody as soon as possible. But printers, man, who knew?
Printers.
Who knew?
It's the whole production. Like mine is like us. It's everybody else.
Yeah. Let's just blame everybody else.
That's what I'm doing.
I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, right.
Say hey to the chat real quick with people filtering in here. Yeah, Mark Penguin, number 1 in the chat, number 1 in our hearts. Great to see you.
Yeah, right.
Great guest get. Oh, great guest. Yes.
Yes,
absolutely. Very
looking
excited.
forward to this.
Talk to Thomas again. It's been a second. Des Kelly's in the house. Hey, I'll just seen this in the LCS. Almost grabbed it. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the because I used one of the same at Twitch pictures for the show banner.
Did it come out?
Not the one I grabbed, because the one I grabbed I think was like a future preview, because I think I was just at the LCS the other day and I think it was only issue 6 or 7 that was on there.
I
That can't
gotta
be
get
right.
6 still. I gotta get 6.
I don't know. I can't remember.
We'll find it.
We got Phil in the house. What's going
What's
on,
up,
brother?
Phil?
Good to see you.
Lobo. Hell yeah.
Member of the channel, Cosmic Studios, is in the house. Great to see you, brother. Thanks for being here. Paulus Arts as well. Hell, man.
Hello. Good to see you.
We got Woodrow says, fuck yeah, hail to the chat, hail to the panel. Hail to you, man.
How you doing?
Speaking of Kayla, there she is.
Mwah.
Shout out to my favorite guys. Dude, come on, dude. That was not smooth. It was good though. Good
I was in it.
good blooper.
Yeah.
Oh wait, what are you saying about 40s? My neck is in pain all the time now. Damn being in my 40s. See, that's what I'm saying. Like it's I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I'm depressed. Hail the Lord's in the house. Great to see you, brother. As well as Steve. Good evening, all. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. Got Henry in the house. The Joe Cool crew. That's right. Yep. We're signing off on that. I like it.
You baby.
Void Eyes is in the house as well. Great to see you. All right, let's jump into this. While everyone's, by the way, wherever you're watching at, please share it, hit the like, let everybody know we're live. Go over to the YouTube channel when you get a chance, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. And also, we say this all the time, and it's legit.
Yeah.
If you're a mod in other people's channel, just go drop the link. Tell them to stop watching this show.
Yeah.
Come watch Ott and stuff. Yeah, if they're mad, just let them know we said it's okay, and they'll be fine about it. No worries. No worries. Yeah. All right. It's Thursday. I'm feeling good. Welcome to
Ott and Stuff. 25 years in the business, only on the technicality. Like Norman, my skills are the beats. I may be dysfunctional, but I'm functional. I'm recklessly charismatic. The editor extraordinaire. That's a joke for anybody. The Hispanic God on paper. I'm smoother than your days in underoos. Creator type 1, the only one. Accept no duplicates. Cooler than the gang. Jersey's finest. Sean Ahrendt. With me, as always, my brother and I.
very talented, very distinguished, very sexy, always narcissistic, but never vain. Staunch defender Rob Liefeld and Gina Carano, love of all things 90s. Joseph Michael Sonntag, or Joe M Sonntag if you prefer, as the Pope likes to call me, JMS. Welcome to the show, and as always, an awesome show we have for you tonight. Because Sean, I mean, I already said it, but who do we have on? Who are we going to bring on and have a great conversation? Let's do this.
We have a tremendous gentleman. We've had him on prior for the Spawn Review show, but now we got him on for ANS. We have editor-in-chief of Todd Mcfarlane Productions, Mr. Thomas Healy.
Let's go. Let's bring him on. Thomas, welcome back to the show. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Absolutely. It's always an honor and pleasure to have you here, just talking, just nerding out with us when it comes to comics. So we're looking forward to it.
Right on, right on. Yeah, thank you again.
No, absolutely, absolutely. So one of the reasons why I reached out to you in the first place is I saw you, by the way, if anybody doesn't follow Thomas on Instagram, do it. I recommend it. It's always good. He's always got some really good nuggets and just promos out there he puts. But I saw that you've got the, I'm assuming the next story arc of Sam and Twitch coming out that you are writing.
Yes, not the next one.
It's the one after. Okay.
Yeah, Todd and Shimon will be wrapping up this next one. I believe on issue 8 is the last of that first story. And then we have a really interesting one coming out with one of my favorite artists that I've had an opportunity to work with, Thomas Knocklick.
Okay.
Is coming on board for art with a new writer that we've got named Jordan Burrell.
Okay.
Coming on board, and they'll be doing the second of the Sam and Twitch case files. And then
Nice.
I will be following up that along with art by Von Randall, who is a cover artist for us. He's done some interiors in King Spawn for us. I absolutely love working with this gentleman. And we'll be doing our arc as well as the third of the Sam and Twitch case files.
Nice.
Very cool. Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I saw you post that. I was like, man, we gotta get you back on the show and just talk about it, because I have not been very familiar with the stuff that you have written. So I was like, I want to talk about it because, the last time we were on, we talked about the editing process and all this stuff, and I thought it was a very, very good conversation. I thought it'd be kind of cool to dive into like the writing process now that you're diving into the world and doing more writing, because I know that throughout the editing process, you've always had some pretty good ideas from some of the stuff that you said here when it comes to your job there. What's the biggest difference, I guess, when you separate yourself? And again, are you editing yourself or somebody else editing? That's one thing I wanted to ask. Like,
no, I mean, I guess
writes,
when it all comes down to it, I mean, obviously I'll have probably a vet, our publishing coordinator, do the read through, the final one. But yeah, I'll do the editing kind of myself ahead of time, because I know what we're looking for now. But again, it's always good to have a second pair of eyes, or even a third pair sometimes, just to catch the stuff, or stuff that you in your head think I'm setting something up, so it should be self-explanatory, and they go, I don't get what this is even supposed to mean. It's not clear enough. That's a big part of it. But yeah, I've been writing comics for years. I've just always done real small indie self-published stuff. We were talking about that a little bit earlier about it's the kind of stuff that doesn't lay flat. That's the stuff we were talking about before.
Right
It's that
before we
stuff.
went live. Yeah.
I did an anthology series out here in Phoenix years ago when I was managing a comic shop. We did 3 volumes of it. It was called first one was Pirate Heart Ninja. So everybody had to tell a 5-page story that was just about a pirate falling in love with a ninja. And then we did a
5-page story.
Yeah, we did Alien Heart Bigfoot. It was a bunch of it was a bunch of weird stuff. We liked having fun with comics.
Yeah, no, it sounds like
that's what it's all about.
So I've always done. I did my favorite thing that I've probably ever written, which will unfortunately probably never ever see another printing. My buddy and I did a 2-issue story that we put out called Big White and Little Brown Action Bears of Action. And it was about 2 bears in Griffith State Park in Los Angeles, and a spacecraft crashes down, and in it is the last surviving child of a doomed planet. And when they find the baby, they eat it.
I was just going to say
and then they both develop superpowers and become sentient. So they decide to become crime fighters in Los Angeles. The problem is they're still just bears. So they're not like bears in costumes or bears in clothes. No, they're just bears, and they end up mauling everybody, and they think they're helping. So that was
That's funny.
But again, I mean, just part of the editorial job, part of of my job once I took over as editor and then on to editor in chief. A lot of it has been working directly with the writers and the creators about crafting the story, managing the plot points, getting to point A to point B, or them pitching a story and going, I don't know, we really want to do that. We're not focusing on this character because this is going to be more important in the future, and kind of helping to craft those stories. And then, at the end of it is doing rewrites if there needs to be something, after the lettering comes in and we're looking at it and go, okay, what about this instead? Or how does this sound better? This is a little cliche, or you use the same word 3 times in this word balloon. Like, let's not have that same thing. And then a lot of times it's just working directly with Todd, and like he'll bounce ideas off, and I go, well, how about this instead? Or I was thinking about doing this in King Spawn. Should we let Rory know, or should we let John Layman know in Scorched? Because I want to do this with Spawn. It's like, oh well, Rory's going to do this, and John's going to do this. So what if we did this instead? And he'll go, yay or nay.
Gotcha.
So I've been working on stuff for a while. Again, some of it goes, it's the thing of the writer. Unlike art, you're going to draw it, and it may not make it into your book, but you're probably going to throw it on Instagram. You're going to throw it on your art station.
Right.
For writers, it's a little different. For writers, it's you write it and then it just sits in your notebook and nobody ever reads it.
Yeah.
So I've written quite a bit. But it's just some of it makes it out and some of it doesn't. This isn't my first pitch directly for a new series.
Okay.
So this is just the one that worked. I felt what was an incredibly good She-Spawn pitch for a mini series, because she's probably my favorite character in the Spawn universe. I really like Jessica Priest. And then when it came down to it, and I pitched it to Todd, I was like, I really like that. And it came down to it. We got to talk to Gail Simone, who is a writer that I love. And she also had an incredibly wonderful She-Spawn pitch. And it's like, well, who do you want to write the She-Spawn book? Me or Gail Simone, writer of Birds of Prey? So we went with Gail Simone on that one. So she's got an incredible book coming out for that. And, it's just that'll sit, and, I'll rip it apart and I'll turn it into another idea. I mean, that's the process. It's, is writing art. Some people say yes, some people say no, but I'm sure you've had many of illustrations that you've been like, man, I hate every part about this except for that head. Or I really love this pose, but I can't get this right. And you re-erase and you just rebuild it. Yeah. And to me, that's a lot of what writing is. It's like, I just have a notebook. I transitioned up to a digital notebook now.
Oh, nice.
That writes on e-ink paper. So, and then like a Kindle, is like that e-ink stuff.
Okay,
so it's not an iPad. It doesn't go on the internet.
Oh.
It doesn't surf the web. It's just a digital notebook that can hold,
interesting
gigabytes and gigabytes of notes. So I write pretty much most of the ideas down there. I just have a file called the Morgue, and it's not even like, here's the idea for issue 1. It's just like, what if this character said this line? I think that'd be cool.
Right.
Or what if this happens in the book? How do people react to that? And then I just build on that. So then if I'm working on Sam and Twitch or one of the other projects, I'll go, oh, what? And I'll just look through the, ooh, there you go. That'll fit in. This weird idea for a villain is going to fit in this book.
That's pretty cool.
And that's, to me, that's how the process is. I always liked when they came out, you know, they always did art books. They always did the black and white issue where you can see the pencils and just the inks.
Yes.
I always liked the ones because, again, I've always wanted to be a writer. I went to college. I wanted to be a writer. I've always liked the ones where they would put the scripts in the back, because every writer writes a script differently. So you look at Bendis's scripts, and then you look at like Warren Ellis's scripts, and they would be very, very different in layout and format and stuff like that. But you could just kind of absorb it. And then I saw an interview, I think it was with Mcfarlane, and they were talking about how he does it. And he was just like, there's a big wall in my office, and he just starts writing ideas down on Post-its, and he just starts putting them on the wall. And when he thinks there's enough ideas or enough story structure, he just starts moving everything around until it tells a cohesive story. And then he starts actually sitting and writing it.
That's cool.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's cool.
So
no, that's all that is I love the different processes out there in anything, whether it's, obviously we focus on art a lot on the show, just being artists, but, you know, seeing everybody's technique and how they draw, how they start, whatever. But it's the same thing with writing. Even getting into writing myself with Reaper Destroyer, it's interesting, like, you know, the style of the way you write the script out. You know, like, I try to go, because I'm the writer artist, I can go a little bit more like Marvel method, so to speak, you know, where I've got my idea and I put it down, but like most of it's up here, I know. And then if I script it out, you know, how I lay the script, and I've looked at tons of different scripts and just how different writers, how they put it out there, and just kind of coming up with my own kind of thing. You know, it's interesting. And I work with, like, Kayla's in the chat. She's somebody I work with that's part of my company as well, that writes and edits. I see the way that she writes. You know, it's pretty cool. It's an interesting process that it's not just everybody does the same thing. It's nice to see the unique aspect of everybody's creative talents, I guess you could say, coming out.
Yeah. We're very much a house that utilizes the Marvel method for 99% of the stuff.
Yeah.
Simply because, you know, the creative director and CEO of TMP is a former artist. I say former, not really even former, but just earned his chops.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody knows Todd. And then when Todd took over Spider-Man, he started writing for himself. So when we have an artist that comes on board, he really is like, hey, I don't want them getting full scripts. Like, I hated that as an artist. I want to be able to draw what I want to draw, as long as it fits what the story is. So again, 99% of the stories that when they are sent to our various artists, whether that's, you know, Yildiray Sinar, who's the new King Spawn artist, or Brett Booth on Spawn, or, you know, when Erica Schultz sends stuff to Jay Carlos for Rat City, they're just plots. This is what's happening on the page. There might be like one snippet or one line of dialogue just to kind of denote, like, hey, they're having this argument about this. So make sure the faces are a little bit more, you know, aggressive in this particular scene. Or, you know, and a lot of times, you know, they'll even write, like John will write, like, hey, this is going to be a dialogue heavy page, so give me plenty of breathing room. Don't give me a lot of close-ups, because I don't want to cover their faces. You know, because sometimes direction like that is certainly helpful. But Javi Fernandez, who was on King Spawn for a huge chunk of time, he was incredible. He was able to take Todd's plots, which again were just descriptions, and go, yeah, I just turned these 2 pages into one big montage collage double page spread. Is that okay? And then we look at it and go, like, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing, dude. So he was amazing and really, really good at getting that done and translating a plot to something. And then there's a few artists that have come to us and been like, hey, I've always worked on full scripts. I like the art direction. I'd rather work with the writer like that. And, you know, we might make a little bit of a choice to allow that on that particular project. But for the most part, we're using just plot, and then you script afterwards.
Yeah, I love that idea. It's, as an artist myself, like, that's the easiest way to work off of a script, because it allows you to have your own take and imagination on how you're doing the storytelling. We have a Netho Diaz, who's an artist right now for Marvel, who's been on the show a couple times. We really like him, and he, you know, talks about, like, how he works off of plots as well, and just like the freedom that comes in that, you know, like, so the paneling, the pacing, all that kind of stuff, as long as you know what you're doing, it gives you a lot more instead of the restrictive, just like, here we go, 4 panels, camera angle, all this stuff that to me kind of takes out the joy of the creative process of being an artist. You're like, yeah, you can draw all those things beat by beat, but there's something that you feel more part of it when it's just like, yeah, here is the plot. This is what we're looking for, this page, you'll go to it. When I was playing writer, so I've got a supplemental book with my comic where I just played writer for the first time working with an artist, which was interesting for me. And I did it just the way that you described it. Like I broke down the page of what I was looking for, but I let the artist kind of be like, choose how many panels you want. But as long as we get what we're looking for, I'm cool with it. But this is what I'm looking for, And the one thing I'll say that I learned that you brought up that I thought was really important to any young writers out there, young artist writers, is if you're planning on doing that heavy dialogue, man, you gotta definitely think of that first, because if you don't leave enough room, I mean, there was a couple of times where I had to heavily edit down script because I didn't think it was going to be that much room that was taken up, and then you really realize how much room those word bubbles take up when you're going back into the finished art, and so then you got to edit everything down. And so that was a learning experience for me, Yeah.
People don't realize I'm working on a project right now that's like a kind of a side project for us, and these are not comic book writers. These are writers from TV screenwriters, and they're sending over script, and it's a really cool story, and I like it. But I go to them. It's like, look at this panel. You have this paragraph that's supposed to fit in this panel. You realize we're going to edit the heck out of that. We're going to, but then I'm teaching them tricks. It's like, well, you don't have to have this all in one panel. Break it into 2, carry it over to the next page, that kind of thing. So they have this incredible story that we're just kind of helping them figure out how to narrate it properly. But it's a stuff that, again, we were talking earlier, there's so many pieces of this puzzle that we call a comic book that people don't realize. They think it's like, once it's drawn, you just put a circle and write some words in it and you're done.
Right.
It's like you don't even have a clue, man.
Yeah. No,
you don't even have a clue.
It's pretty interesting getting into the creative process and being first time creators like Sean and I are, finally venturing into making books for the first time. You discover all these things you didn't really think about. I don't want to say take for granted, but you just don't really think about it, right? Especially coming from an artist point of view. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because when I actually got into the writing process, I didn't know how much I was going to like really enjoy the writing, because I've always been like, oh, I'm an artist, like I'll write, I'll put it out there. But when I actually got into the headspace and you're getting into the characters' minds and the way they talk and putting dialogue out there, you really get rolling, and then all of a sudden you realize, like, man, I really enjoy this. Next time around, I need to make sure that I'm much more diligent, making sure I've got room so I can fit in all the stuff that I want so it flows better. So it's definitely a learning experience. Henry had a question. He said,
I just saw that. I was going to call that out. No, Henry, you're exactly right. When you don't know what those key moments are as the artist, but the writer might. And that's why pretty much for the most part, especially when I'm working on someone, I just want, give me your rough layouts. I don't want to give you the plot and then see your finished page, because I don't want you to put in work if we have to change it. So all of the artists that I've been working with recently have been really, really good on that. And I know most of them, especially if they're working for Todd, they always send in their roughs. After a while, you just learn to trust it. Like Carlo Barbary is a perfect example with working with Todd on Gunslinger. Like Carlo sends us in his roughs and they're almost done. And I mean, it's been months since there's been any change at all, because they're just so good. He knows what he's worked with Todd for so long now. He just knows what Todd expects or what Todd wants. And he's got his own really incredible way of telling a story visually. Vaughn is phenomenal at this. So like Vaughn just sends me his rough of his pages, and like, to use an example, like, everyone kind of knows, if you read Sam and Twitch, like Twitch has always been known as like a sharpshooter. He's a marksman. Right. He has the long revolver, like he's the crack shot. So there was just a scene that the shot was important to the story. It wasn't just him shooting at somebody. It was important. And Vaughn had just, drawn him with one hand out. And so the correction was, no. I need him to be in a marksman's stance. Like he's taking a deliberate precision shot because it affects the story. And, you know, that's an easy thing. Again, these are just the roughs. These are just the rough pencils. So it's a very simple fix. So that's how we kind of handle that. So the writer still does have the input prior to it being let's say a finished page, Henry.
Yeah.
There's still, and that's the best, I think, to me in comics, that's the best team, when you've got the writer and the artist that want, and they're working together to come up with something. And we've seen it. It's happens at Marvel, DC. You talk to a lot of artists. I'm sure they had the same thing. You know, they're working with some writer, maybe a famous writer, and like they're just given a script. They're given a script, and like maybe they never even talk to the guy in person. It's like everything's handled through their editor, and it's just like maybe even the writer doesn't care. It's just like, hey, I got paid for my script. Here it is. Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like those, I think you can feel that sometimes in the book. There's a little bit of disconnect, like the dialogue's not really playing to the emotion that the characters are showing in the art. So that's a little weird. So I like it, especially, and for pretty much all of our teams, they're all back and forth. And I'm just usually the quiet fly on the wall on the email chain, because I don't feel like I have to jump in every time to go, great page, because the writer's going, oh my God, like Erica is such a great cheerleader for Jay as the artist on Rat City, like, and they are just so good at collaborating. And he'll be like, what if I did this? Could it be cool if I did this? She's like, I didn't think about that. That's actually even better than my idea. Let's do that. And stuff like that. Jimmy Palmiotti writing Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, which comes out in November.
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
So don't forget that. But him working with Patrick Reynolds, like it's fun. They're all day. They're just back and forth all day talking. And they're working. He'll go, hey, I was thinking this instead. What about this? Or what about this? Or Jimmy will be like, hey, she's supposed to be looking a little bit like this because, and it's easy to get those corrections when the lines of communication are open. When it gets too far, when you've gone to ink, and you can, it's digital and you can adjust the scan if you're doing traditional. But at that point, if you're kicking it back to the artist, because I know Sean, it's probably the same thing. If you had to go back and you finished inking a page, whether it be traditional or digital, and they're like, hey, we need to make this change, you're going to go, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's way easier when it's just your rough.
Oh, 100%.
And it's just like, oh yeah, I can totally make that change. I could totally make that. So that's kind of how we handle it. And it's worked out well for us so far.
Yeah, that communication, I mean, I think that's fantastic. I love hearing that, because you're right. I mean, we talk about it a lot on the various shows we have on this channel, but the relationship between the writer and the artist is imperative if if you're working on something, you both really love it, And we had Dan Chichester on maybe a month ago or something. He was talking because he wrote the new Daredevil Black Armor with Nethel Diaz doing the art. And he brought up the same thing too. Like, their relationship was really good. And they kind of wrote Marvel method, like I was talking about, but maybe Nethel put in something that was a little bit different than what he had planned, but he loved it so much. And then he would just tweak things, and they would bounce things back and forth with each other, and just like how that process was. And then he produced, what I would feel would be your best story. And everything else seems a little bit too impersonable. And to me, that's not comic books. Because growing up, you always hear about back in the day when people would be actually working in the same building and stuff, and not, freelancing, and you would have that kind of relationship with each other, You
hear the stories like the old Marvel bullpen days when you've got like 3 artists working on one page because they were at deadlines, and everybody's like, you draw the backgrounds, I'm gonna draw the faces, and you guys draw the rest of it. And it's just like everybody's pitching in. But it's not that world anymore. In some cases, digital has made it easier and quicker for people to put stuff together and to produce.
True.
I know that there are art purists that go, I can tell when it's a digital page and I don't like it. It's like, no, I get that, but it's like going like, what, I liked it when, things weren't in HD on the TV. I liked there being a little bit of grain when I watched Dallas. It's like, to me, as long as the story is good and the art hangs on with that story, I mean, I don't care how you make it. Just as long as you have a good team working on it, I think that's great.
I feel like I'm doing all the talking here, Sean. So if I'm talking over you, I apologize.
No, you're doing a great job. No, keep going. I've got like 3 questions, and it's purely selfish for myself.
All right, I just wanted to
keep
play off.
Keep going.
I just wanted to play off the because
Yeah.
I don't consider myself an art purist, so to speak, but I am one of those guys that just chill out for a second. I am one of those guys every once in a while that will look at art and be like, yeah, I can tell it's digital, but that's just because, yeah, if the story's good, I don't care. Like, I can still get into it, but like the art is still good. It's not that it's not good. There is a specific like look that I'm in love with, I guess is the best way you could say it, from growing up in the era that I grew up reading comics. Like there's a specific look of the way a brush or a nib inks look on the paper comparative to all the tricks you can do digital. And there's some great, fantastic digital artists out there. And sometimes you can't even tell, they're so good.
Yeah.
But there's, again, the art purist in me, I guess you could say, when I see something like that and I know it's drawn, traditional, like Brett, seeing stuff that Brett's doing on Gunslinger, and I'm, you can just tell with the technique and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, like to me, like that's the way comic books should look. There are some digital artists, I think nowadays that they just, there's a digital technique that it's almost not as unique, where to me, like what I love about comic book art is the uniqueness from one artist to the other, unless you're a complete ripoff of, which there are out there, but the uniqueness of artist styles, and sometimes I think digital can rob that just a little bit, but
a lot of them use a lot of the same brushes, so you could be like, oh, I know that trick, so
yeah, that's a good. And I also notice it's easier, I think, in some cases to discern whether or not it's traditional digital on covers more than it is on interior work.
Yeah,
because to me, for at least to me, I feel like that's a different skill set. There are people that can do interiors, and Brett's a perfect example. Like he does a book and then he goes, can I do a cover for this issue? And I go, yeah. And then he bangs out like the most amazing cover.
Right. Yeah.
But there are just people that just do covers. And then I feel like then you're really kind of leaning into the digital stuff because you can see all of the time and color and effort that they put in like sculpting and all the coloring and stuff like that. Whereas on the interior stuff, like, again, I'll use Carlo as an example. And I mean, even Todd for a lot of it, everyone knows he uses an iPad when he does some of his work.
Yeah.
I mean, but they're still just doing the rough pencils and then they're inking over their pencils. It's just that they're just using, an Apple Pencil for it.
Yeah.
But they're not like building everything in 3D modeling. They're literally still just drawing it all.
Right.
So I do look at that. But overall, again, I mean, I just want a good comic book.
Yeah.
When it all comes down to it, I just want a good comic book. And not everybody has the time to do a book like Alex Ross. When they can give him 2 or 3 years to finish like a 12 issue mini. So, and I think we're seeing less of it because it's easier, I think, for a lot of younger people to get into, especially with, I mean, I heard, and it killed me. I heard you were talking about getting old at the top of the show here. When they're not teaching cursive anymore. Like
I know, right? Yeah.
It's digital, but it still has, I still write.
Right.
Like I don't carry my laptop and type out my notes. I still write. I still have fountain pens.
Right.
Because I like to write. I like to write letters.
Yeah.
And so bug me. But it's easier. You go to a school now, you go to college, you get into an arts college. They're probably teaching you how to do Photoshop. They're probably teaching you how to work on an iPad or at least a Wacom tablet.
True. Yeah. It's
so
the technology
it's
of the day. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, it is easier. But I mean, I love when you go to like a Starbucks and you're sitting there and you see some dude with like the tiny little watercolor thing, or just like sketching in a Moleskine book. Well, that's pretty cool. I like that he's doing that. I like that he's kind of like sketching that out. So.
I've done some digital drawing before, nothing for the actual book because I try to do all traditional, but like I have my iPad, my Apple Pencil, and like I've done a lot of digital inking and digital work where I'm just sketching and stuff. And there is definitely an advantage. I some of the tools that are used definitely make it quicker process, erasing, all that kind of stuff. So I do understand that for sure. To me, when it comes to being an artist, there is something, like you said, you enjoy writing, like a fountain pen or something as well. There's something about the feel of the pencil on the paper and the resistance that goes into it that just it's a love for me. Like it's hard for me to want to give that up. Maybe one day, I don't know. I'll probably just always be traditional. Never mind. But I do get it. I do get the do get the appeal of the digital art.
That's why I love artists like Jim Mahfood. I love looking at his stuff and going, okay, man, he did that with a toothbrush. Like I've seen him do it. Like he's got a toothbrush and it was like dip it in white out, and he's like spritzing it all over, and then he'll just like dip his finger in like the ink, and then he's just like doing hair with it. I'm like, I love the fact that by the time this was done, like his literal fingerprints are in this piece. Jason Sean Alexander, same way. Like they're just so into it. Jonathan Glapian does a lot of that, and I love him. He's got No Home Here coming out, plugging it, and
looking forward to that one too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, No Home Here is going to be phenomenal. But yeah, he does some digital stuff too, because it is, like you said, it's time save. You got commissions to do for like the companies. But like when he does his like remarks and stuff, and he's using like the paints and stuff like that, it's just looks really nice. It just looks really nice.
I kind of like what in Rick in the Rick in the chat, member of the channel is what I meant to say. He's a big original art collector guy, and same thing is like,
so am I.
Exactly.
Between this is just behind me. My house is full, and my office is full of all original art.
I nothing better than holding an original artwork. Yeah, and I think that's the only downfall to me when it comes to digital, because I'm just, again, it just goes to the old school feeling, like that collection, like holding that piece of art in your hand, probably much like any art, whether it's a painting or something, just, when you physically see something that someone else has done in front of you like that, it's a completely different experience. I don't even know how to explain it unless people are actually into it, feel it. Like, for instance, on my book Reaper Destroyer, I had Joe Weems and Matt Bat Banning do a little bit of inking over my work, which was a dream come true to have those legends and actually ink over my pencils. And I went to visit Sean one day, and I actually took the original pages that I had and let him check it out. And I give it to him, and he's just sitting over there, and he's just running his fingers across it. And I'm like, "What are you doing, man?" And he's just like, "I just wanted to feel it." And I was like, "You know what? I didn't even think about that. But since you did that, now I do that every single time." I'm like, "Oh, I get it. I get it."
Oh, absolutely.
It's beautiful. It's a great feel. Mark just got in a piece that Shelby inked over Joe Bennett. And that was great. I was doing my fingers over it.
You're doing your fingers.
Yeah, it was clean. But it was awesome. There's just nothing like it.
Yeah, to this day, every time we get an artist that comes on, and Todd always asks, like, "You doing this traditional? You ink yourself or whatever?" And if they go, "Yeah, I do everything fully digital," he'll be like, "No, that's totally fine. We got no problem with that." Because what I'm going to tell you, if you're doing a Spawn book, put at least one page. Do it one page traditionally. Do your splash page. Do the one splash page we give you. Do it traditionally, because I guarantee you're going to go to any comic book convention around the country. You got a page where it's a splash page of Spawn. You're going to sell that for $2,000-$3,000, and that covers for your trip. You can do the rest of the issue digitally, but at least do your cover and or one splash page or the double page spread traditionally. He goes, because that's an additional several grand over and above what we're paying you.
Yeah,
that you can do.
No, that's great advice. I think like that. Yeah, because like Kayla said, original art will always sell, and I agree with that, especially at convention stuff. I mean, people collect that stuff. So yeah, if you're doing digital, knock out a few pages there, so you can make sure you get that in the secondary market. Sean, all right, I've been talking long enough.
All right.
I do like the sound of my own voice. That's no secret,
It's not my first rodeo, brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw the show to you. I know you got some questions.
So, Vault Edition 3 is on pre-order. It's coming out early next year or next few months.
Yeah, probably early. Definitely in 2025.
Okay.
So it's just the size. We were talking about paper stock and stuff like that earlier. Yeah. The size and production of a book like that is outside the parameters of just a typical printer.
Sure.
So it is very time consuming to get, and again, the schedule. And then that's one that, like, let's be honest, Gunslinger Spawn Volume 4, like the floppy $12.99 trade, we just send them the files, they print it. When we do stuff like the Vault editions, when we do stuff like the hardcover deluxe slipcase editions, we go back and forth. They'll print out a mock-up with no interior art, but they'll print up the mock-up of the size and the page count. And so it's all blank pages. So send it back to go, okay, cool. This looks sturdy enough for us. It has the right color ribbons to hold it together. It does, it's not cracking the spine. So there's and that's coming from usually an overseas printer. So it's months of going back and forth to get that done. And then that had been on the plan to do Vault Edition 3 with all Greg Capullo art for well over a year now. And then we hit let's expand Spawn's universe. And that just dumped so much more on our plate.
Sure.
And then it was, okay, well, monthly books are kind of take the precedent over the thing. So yes, it is still in production. We're still working on that, but it'll probably not come out till the beginning of 2025, middle of 2025. So yes,
So
that is 100%.
What about the reprints for 1 and 2? We spoke about it last time, and you said you guys were chit-chatting. Is there any
Don't
more?
know yet.
Okay.
It probably would not be coming out till at least like end of next year if we do reprints on that.
Now, would you do that soft or do it again in the hardbound style?
I don't know. Like I go both ways as someone who kind of runs all that, and as someone who's a collector. I go, when those came out, those were supposed to be a limited run. That was the point. Like it was, some things have to just be a limited thing. If we come out and say this is a limited run, so it's like, maybe we would reprint it, but it wouldn't necessarily be the same format. Maybe we just do the soft, like make an oversized soft cover, like the art of Todd McFarlane. So that way, anybody who spent either money at the time, which was probably $100, $150 at the time, or the secondary market where those go for stupid amounts, especially if it's one of the ones that came with the Todd sketch in it. They don't feel like, man, I spent all this money because I thought it was limited, and now I feel like I got cheated out of it. So it's like you're weighing it off. If I had to choose as a fan, I'd want it the same format, but I don't know. We'll kind of. Because I wasn't around when those first came out. Those were before my time. So I have to kind of revisit what was the language when these were solicited? Were these called limited edition? If they were, Todd does not like going back on his word. It may have happened, if there was a mistake of some sort, but like if he said it was limited edition, he's probably not going to want to like do it that way. Again. So, but again, just to have the material in someone's hands, we are still talking about putting that out in some format.
Perfect.
It's funny because so I missed because there was a period of time where I wasn't collecting comics anymore. I was off doing music, so when I came back, I realized I missed all these really awesome things. And what is interesting about those vault editions, like I love them so much, but hearing you say that, like I almost would rather the soft cover because of the pliability of being able to open them and actually look at them and stuff, so a lot of the stuff I have, like I got art of Jim Lee and Michael Turner's run on Batman, Superman, vault edition, all this kind of stuff, and they're really cool, the hardcover, but sometimes you get to like the middle of the book and you just want it to sit better. So sometimes I'm just like, I would rather just the soft covers for that stuff, even though it might not be as prestige or whatever you want to call it.
If you're just looking to take in the material, absolutely. That's why when I started there, they had put out one black and white compendium a couple of years before I started there. And it was just the black and white. And at the time, it was because they were like, we can't fit. It would be so cost prohibitive to put out a soft cover with colored pages. Because remember, the ink adds to the thickness of a page. And they're like, the book would just fall apart. Well, printing technology increased. So I'm sitting there one day, and my office has the archive. So it's got everything that's ever been published, every cover, even from Todd's Marvel and DC days. He's got like one or at least one of everything in there. And I'm just looking at that. I'm like, this is really, really cool. Like we should do this again. Because remember at the time, Robert Kirkman was doing Walking Dead that way, but Walking Dead was a black and white comic. So it didn't affect it. So they tried it. And I don't think it was as loved as people thought. So one day I came in, I was like, hey, I reached out to Image and I got all the specs. Like I want to do a compendium line in color. Like, I think we can do that. And here's the cost. And Todd was like, this is actually way better than I would anticipate. So we got that up and running quick. And I was like, we're going to keep it simple. I don't care if it's the middle of a story arc, 50 issues, 50 issues, 50 issues. Just keep it simple. And people complain to me all the time, but none of the covers are there. I'm like, because I want to make sure I can fit all 50 issues, because not all of those issues are just 20 pages. And once you have a book that's over 1,000 pages, every page adds up to the inevitability of the glue not holding and that thing just exploding in your hands. So it's like, we had to cut out the covers, because that adds that potentially adds for a 50 comic book another 200 or plus pages, because some of those early Spawn issues, like you hit 100, there's like 8 covers. It's like we have to account for that. We've got the cover galleries. We've got the regular trades that have it all. But if you're buying the compendium, it's because you just want to read Spawn.
Right.
And bam. So we did that, and that was going to be a once a year thing. And then it just blew up. And they've become evergreen in so many stores. So I was like, we just keep turning them out. And then we're going to be caught up. We're going to be caught up, I think, in the next one. And we'll have to actually wait for more. And hardcover compendiums, absolutely. The hardcover compendiums are great for what they are, but like Joe and Sean said, sometimes they're not as readable. I feel that the Spawn compendiums, they're pretty darn good quality. I have not seen any major issues with them at this point, but the deluxe hardcovers are really nice. But again, you've got that middle, and it's just like, oh, I can't get to it. I can't get to that page. So we do that.
It is harder with books that big, size to do that many pages. So I completely get just the aesthetic wise. Sometimes it's just nothing's going to be perfect about it, but it just from artist point of view, seeing the blown up pages, scans of the blown up original art is just, that's like, what we live for.
Oh, absolutely.
Kind of
it's
stuff,
like going to the most prestigious college,
for
us, just to study what they did and their tricks and their tips. But one last thing, I know you're not going to do it, but man, oh man, I wish you guys would do the number 2 black and white compendium, because that's when Greg was doing full cylinders with Mickey and Chance and you know what? Yeah. I hope my first compendium explodes because I just want to study that art. I don't care if it's
the pages out.
I'll put in my own folder, because I gotta study that Todd, that Greg, that Tony Daniel.
Yeah, I can say I don't foresee a future for another black and white compendium.
Okay,
but you'll have a lot of that art in the Vault edition.
I'll take that.
Nice.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm totally a hardcover guy. I'm not trying to say that those are better, but again, I like pitching those for the price point. Because this is just, if you just want to read, I lurk on a lot of the various Spawn boards. I'm pretty public on who I am on Spawn Reddit, just the regular Spawn Reddit. But I've been in some of the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and I usually just lurk and see what people are saying. But I love somebody's even nowadays, this is 30 some odd years later, people are I know who Spawn is. I played Mortal Kombat and I played him in Call of Duty, and I don't know who all those characters are. I want to read Spawn now. And then inevitably somebody's like, compendium. Just do it. And then if you're stupid, then you do what we all did and start buying the individual issues, because that's ridiculous, because some of those early issues are stupid amounts of money. But yes, I mean, that's, again, I'm not saying that's the best format for a collector, but that's, to me, the best format of Spawn for someone who just wants to read it.
Oh, absolutely.
And so every time we get a new writer on, so when John Layman came on of Chew fame and started doing I gave him the set. I was like, John, here you go. Here's your 6 compendiums. Catch up. So you know all the ins and outs of what these characters. You've got 30 years of continuity to worry about.
And you got 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah, basically.
I like how this conversation went into the chat. Now it's it seems like most of you guys are into the hardcovers, and that's cool. I dig it.
Yeah. Cool. If I cannot collect anymore. I just don't have the room. I buy much more original. I buy more original art now. There's 2 or 3 books that I get at my local pull list because I want to support my LCS. But I do buy and or get as comps through Image. And I like the hardcovers. I just got the Die hardcover from Image from Kieran Gillen, and I have my other favorite book from the last couple of years is probably Department of Truth.
Okay.
And I have that, and yes, that looking nice on the thing. And then the 2 Savage Dragons that have been out. He put out those, and those are great.
I did that with the Invincible, the Ultimate hardcovers. You got the art, you got the scripts, you got sketches. That's a learning process for up and coming creators. I highly suggest 100%. Because not just that the book is fantastic, but you see through the mind of the madness of how they do what they do. So it's awesome.
Paulus Art says, I need to draw Spawn one day. I was going to say, I think any artist that grew up in that, maybe any era, right? But specifically the era that we grew up in, we're in our early 40s. And I think that's always been a goal for almost any artist. There was something just special about that book when it dropped. Obviously Todd, a lot of us followed Todd anyway back then, but just even though when he stopped drawing the book. There was something just about the character
Yeah.
design. Obviously,
felt like he
Greg
was
coming
alone.
on and doing what he did was amazing. I think that's a number one goal, I think, of most artists, to draw Spawn in some kind of way, whether it's a cover or interiors or a pinup. I mean, I think it might be up there. Rivalry. What can I say?
Rivalry. It's
Rivalry,
Yeah.
whatever, with Batman. Because everyone's like, "Oh, Batman." And they're like, "Who would you rather draw, Batman or Spawn?" I'm like, "Spawn."
Spawn.
Yeah, all day long.
All day, every day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My mother, Halloween of 1992. So that was the first few months of Spawn. I was 11 years old. She's like, "What do you want to be for Halloween?" She made me a homemade Spawn costume, and I had the whole thing out of cardboard. I had an awesome Wicked cape. Shout out to Kayla for Wicked. The mask. Like, she did such a cool job, man. Like, people are like, "Are you Dracula?" I'm like, "I'm Spawn." And I got those guys to be geeks because of my costume, and that was awesome.
I hope that you have a photo of that somewhere that you can send in so we can put that in this.
Yeah.
We'll put that in the spawning ground, man.
I'll look for one for certain. Yeah, definitely.
Hell's yes.
Yeah, I love. We're definitely seeing, since we started the new Spawn's universe, and we went from Spawn to the 4 core books. King Spawn, Scorched, and Gunslinger. I have very distinctly seen an influx and increase in Spawn cosplay now.
Oh, nice.
It used to be you'd see one every once in a while, and now, like, I see Spawns. I see, the Call of Duty Commando Spawn look. I've seen a ton of Gunslinger Spawns. I've seen She Spawns. So yeah, I love seeing that. If somebody sends me that into the spawning ground email, because I'm the one that does all the letter columns in the back.
Okay.
So that's just me. Any kind of cosplay photo, that's a guarantee you're getting in, because I love posting people in cosplay, because everybody's done Batman. There's been a million people that Batman. Sure. I like seeing the more obscure stuff. And as far as cosplay goes, I think Spawn characters are on the obscure side of things.
Wait, I was probably the first Spawn cosplay. When to come to think of it,
you very could be.
I probably
very well might have been.
Shout out to my mom. Awesome, cool. I'm gonna look for that photo.
Please,
find it. We need to see it. No, that's awesome. Did you have one more, Sean, or two more?
No, that was
it?
primarily it. Just again, love talking and hearing Thomas's views, his creative, you're doing one hell of a job, editing and running that whole ship of all those books. You make everything seem so cohesive and so unflawed for a reader, at least, where you talk to us about how you guys how Todd goes about things, but you make it seem like it's just running in like a hamster wheel. And what you guys are doing are my favorite stuff on the stands. I don't buy many big 2 books. It's mostly you guys, and anything like Rob Liefeld draws. I'm out there whenever I can, but I'm getting it, I'm reading it, and please keep up. You are highly entertaining me.
I'm hoping that the blood pressure goes down now that I'm on some meds for that. So that's been the outcome of that. I want to say thank you to Kayla for giving the Violator book a shout out. That was one of the series.
She always jumps into before I'm like, I got something. I'm going to bring up a next subject, and Kayla right in there.
This is a project a long time coming. Mark and Draco, who's obviously wrote for some early Spawn stuff, Sam and Twitch and stuff early on, pitched this idea to Todd, and Todd was like, talk to my editor in chief, we'll get it taken care of. And it was, for us, we're still holding that line at $2.99, man. It's $2.99 price point. We're gonna,
everybody appreciates that.
Let's be honest. Is it going to last forever? Probably not. I mean, now that I think I just saw a report that the majority, not all, but the majority, over 50% of Marvel and DC's monthly titles are now $4.99.
Makes sense.
So, for the same amount, 20, 22 pages of content, and that's it. And they're $4.99 now. I think we're the only $2.99 book on the market, next to maybe some, randomly self-published indie stuff.
Right.
But they pitched it, and it was just like, hey, he wants to do 48 pages, which means that's got to be a 56-page comic. We can't do $2.99 on that. It's like three times the size. So it was like, okay, we got to do a $5.99 to support this.
Sure.
Because again, we didn't want to, skimp on the paper, and so it's the same paper, the same cover stock. And it just kind of all right. And then it was, hey, and I'm going to get a different art team every issue. That's cool. It's a different time period of human history every issue. And then I was like, oh, is this going to be cohesive enough to get people? And then he gave me the breakdowns, and then he gave me the breakdown of the last issue, and I went, oh, that's really good, Mark. Yeah, I think you got this. And then when we just started seeing the pages come in from the various artists, and we got some incredible cover artists. Like all the artists did their cover A's, and then the cover B's were like some huge names.
Right.
I mean, we've got some really amazing stuff. So I'm glad you like that, Kayla. Yeah, the one of my favorite ones coming out is from Jonathan Weishak, if you're familiar with his work.
Oh yeah.
He did issue 3, and I absolutely loved it. Gian and Enrico Bonacorsi did, I think, issue 2. So yeah, it's just absolutely beautiful stuff all throughout that. And it seems like it's going to be good. So
it's
nice.
Kayla's supposed to be sending me a book because for some reason I didn't see it in my LCS. Everyone was like, it's out. And I was like, I don't see it. So I went back to the store. It still wasn't on the shelves. So
what I heard about was that, again, there were some printer shenanigans happening. And I think some of the books, like half got sent out, but they got sent out early. So the street date, I think, was this coming Wednesday, but there were shops that got it early and just put it out. That is what I heard.
That would make sense then.
If you missed it, you'll probably see it at your LCS this coming week.
All right, cool. Because I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, maybe it just sold out real quick, or maybe they didn't even bring it in.
Yeah.
Because I see people online be like, oh, I got it. I was like, I didn't think it was out yet. So that makes sense.
I think some people released it a week early.
Yeah, I saw on Tuesday. I'm like, wait a minute, don't they come out on Wednesdays? Like, well, what's up? You know, like, what's the number to that shop so I could get it? You know?
Yeah.
Well, we've been looking forward to it since we talked about it last time you were on, and you had mentioned that was coming up. I was like, man, yeah, that's a series I'm looking forward to. So I've been pretty disappointed when I've seen other people get it. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go because I see a couple of other good questions in here, and I'm here to just sell you all on comic books.
Yeah, let's do it. Go for it.
Make it happen.
So medieval Spawn book. It's done. It's complete. It'll be part of our 2025 schedule.
Hell yes.
We realized we did not, even at $2.99, everybody's only got so much money in their wallet. So when we were putting out the schedule, when we were starting announcing all this stuff, like, yeah, we'll just put like 2 or 3 new books out every week. And then it was just like, yeah, but we still have the 4 core books. And we don't want anybody going, Todd, what are you doing? Like, I can't, like, I get it. You still need to buy Daredevil. I still buy Daredevil. I get you still have other comics. So we just decided to, let's slow our roll a little bit. And we can spread it out over a longer period of time, that instead of putting out 5 new books in April. So that's kind of what we did. So Medieval Spawn is done. That'll be on, it's just, again, a mini series that'll be on our 2025 schedule. So you'll see that, because solicits are already out for January. So you'll see that coming up very, very soon. Rat City, jumping on point for Rat City was Rat City 1. It is tied into the Spawn universe, but truthfully, you really don't need to know anything about the Spawn universe. It references one event. It references an event in issue 301.
Okay.
The explosion when Al detonates himself that causes the time rip that fluctuates and it pulls a bunch of characters forward. But if you're a fan of movies like The Fifth Element, if you're a fan of TV shows like Altered Carbon, if you're a fan of like Cyberpunk the game, that's Rat City.
That feel. Absolutely.
That's what that is. It's not Al Simmons. It's 100+ years in the future, and this guy kind of gets sucked into this scenario because he gets infected and turns into a spawn, which had not been seen. It's not common in that world, and this is him trying to deal with that. So that's really it. Yeah. So just jump in on Rat City #1. That's all you need to do, and you can kind of go from there.
What about the book with Glapion, the one where he's illustrating that?
That's what he was just talking about.
Yeah.
He wasn't talking about. You mentioned it earlier, but go for it.
Yeah, No Home Here. That is our first new book coming out in January.
Okay, cool.
Jonathan and Daniel, they are brothers to me. I absolutely love the two of them. I worked with both of them as inkers. Then I found out that because they were inkers, they were very close and became friends. And then the 3 of us became really good friends. I met Jonathan for the first time when we were doing the book for Ozzy Osbourne's album.
Okay.
Patient number 9.
Cool.
And they said, hey, Todd, we want you to put a comic book in here, but it's Ozyman. It has to be weird. It has to look interesting. So we were just going through a list of our artists, and we didn't want something that just looked like a book that could be Superman or Batman or Daredevil or Moon Knight.
Right.
And so Jonathan had done like his first 2 covers for us, but he was primarily Greg Capullo's inker.
Yeah.
But he'd worked with Todd for years. You know, Todd knew him for many, many years. And then he goes, have you seen Jonathan's website? Like, he sells like sketch covers. They're really cool. And we're like, let's get him to do it. And that was his first like full issue. And, you know, after that, we became really good friends, and we hang out, and our wives are friends, and we talk. And every time we're together, we eat at really good restaurants and drink really good wine.
Very good.
Yeah. And so him and Daniel kind of came up with this idea of No Home Here, and it ties directly. It's a cast of characters that only one of them you've really ever met before, which is Shirley Johnson. And if you're a fan of Spawn, you know the issue with Billy Kincaid, the notorious ice cream man killer. She was the little blonde girl that he takes in that issue.
Oh,
really? Okay.
So this story is what happens to her. Because if you read the book, it shows a little panel, and Daniel Enriquez is like a Spawn savant.
Yeah.
He knows his Spawn stuff. So he's like, well, if you read the book, I think Todd made a mistake. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, well, it shows that she's locked in a refrigerator that's chained up, but she can push open the door just a little bit to see through a crack, and she sees Spawn come in and attack Billy. And then there's the big explosion. And at the end of it, you see the famous scene where all the ice cream and the popsicle sticks are stuck into him. But Spawn just leaves. He goes, did he just leave her to die in the refrigerator? And I'm like, I don't think he knew she was still alive. And so he's like, I've got a story there. And so all of the art, the 2 main characters are her and the stranger. He's the dude with the giant sword. And basically this is almost kind of like a lone wolf and cub story of like, doesn't want to take her into his protection, but she's just a child. So what is he going to do? And I don't want to spoil anything about the story itself, so I'll leave that for them to talk more about. But it's Jonathan's art style. It's absolutely insane. It looks so cool. And we're going back again. We are not trying to gouge any of our readers. We're putting out a lot of stuff. We're trying, again, keeping it $2.99. But one of the other things that we're doing with this book is going back to kind of like the old Marvel late 70s, early 80s era stuff, when they did like Marvel 2-in-1 and Marvel Team Up.
Right.
Those were bi-monthlies.
Yeah.
So this book's going to be bi-monthly. So you don't have to worry about like, I got one extra book. Nope. Bi-monthly, 6 issues a year. And
I do like that.
It's just kind of like, all right, I didn't
breaks
buy
it up a little bit.
One more $2.99 book every other month.
Yeah.
I can jump on that.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
And
that's a book I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah,
just
artistically,
specifically from the art alone that they put out there. It's just promo stuff that they're working on here or there. Like it looks really, really awesome. So
it's the best stuff I've seen Jonathan do ever. And I'm a huge fan of his covers.
Oh yeah.
From the stuff he's just been showing, Sean and I, we've talked about it too. Like,
I think it went
awesome.
live today. So if anybody is online, he's doing a cover B for one of the other books that has done really well for us is Spawn Kills Every Spawn. By John Layman, which is that weird like chibi Spawn, like trying to hunt and kill down all of the Spawns. Jonathan Glapian did a cover B that just went live today.
Oh, nice.
I believe it was issue 5.
Yeah.
So I sent that in today. So that's on like the Image website and stuff like that. So
got Chris Graves.
What's up, brother?
What up, brother? Good to see
Ride
you.
in Pain Volume 2 dropping in 2 weeks. Get ready for the launch of that. That book looks fire.
Yeah, it's Glapian with a G.
Yes,
Glapian. Yeah.
We're looking forward to that one. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so years ago, I know it's before your time, but Todd would do black and white editions of Spawn of the monthly. Any want to go back to do that at least with Jonathan's book because it's so artistically like.
I don't know with Jonathan's book specific, but yes, we've been talking about that again.
Okay.
Again, I think it really matters to have the right artist to do it.
Sure.
So yes, that we've literally been talking about that for like 2025. It's like what other stuff can we offer that's cool? We don't like to do, as you probably know, we don't do a ton of like ratio variants. We don't do a lot of store cover exclusives. It's like we do cover A, cover B at $2.99.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Maybe I go, all right, this is just a really cool cover, guys. So we're going to do a black and white cover version or a virgin cover for a cover C. But again, we don't make it a ratio. It's just it's an order all. You buy it if you like it. But we've been talking like, so what else can we do that might? And again, I come from a retailer background, so no offense to the fans, but I'm also looking like, how can we incentivize a store?
Sure.
And if we go, okay, cool, like people like the black and white. When Javi was the regular artist on King Spawn, he several times like, can we do a black, white, and red? I just want to do my art. And I think his art really leaned into like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like he would do all of the red highlights and that was it. And we did a few of those. But yes, I certainly want to see more of those coming out for the various books. I think like a book like Rat City, I mean, you want to show that it's set in the future. So I think a lot of the coloring helps that book. J. David Ramos is like the neon aspects of the light and the lights on the suit. Maybe that book is not the best for it, but maybe Yildiray on King Spawn might do it. I'd love to do it with Brett's stuff.
I was going to say that.
You know, he's the guy.
Specifically, I'd love to
he's the guy. So
him and Adelso, perfect team.
Yeah. We were talking about teams before and trust. And yeah, I mean, Adelso and Brett is just like, it's amazing to do it. So yes, but you will see some stuff like that, some black and white editions of the interiors, and potentially even a trade version of it for certain people.
That's cool.
Now
sign me up.
That's what's up. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. We've held Thomas for an hour, which is about the length of our show. And we definitely appreciate and respect his time. Chat, you guys have been great. Thank you for the questions as well. Before we get out of here, I just have to do a little bit of shilling. So everybody knows that we are comic book creators on this channel. Sean has a book called Type 1 that is out right now on Indiegogo. Yep.
Yeah,
go check it out. Back it.
Action adventure story. If you love Mayan Aztec lore, if you love a fun romp, not writing Shakespeare, I'm writing entertaining comic books that I was inspired by. Joe was inspired by as well.
Yeah.
I got some very talented friends, like my guy Chris Graves did a variant from myself.
Right there.
I got very talented friends that just want me to do good and make me look I don't know as good as I should be, but no, I'm having a blast. Don't be a bum. Back Type 1. Donate a book to a child with Type 1 diabetes. You buy one book, I'm going to send them two, and I'm going to send you a free metal trading card as a thank you for putting a smile on their face. So we're having pages showing off next week on the show. So yeah, that's all. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, Dan Kemp's going to be getting some new stuff out, so looking forward to that. I do have to give a shout out. So Reaper Destroyer crossed. Oh, I have not.
Nice.
Did not update it. Let's do that again. If it goes, there we go. Crossed 73K the other day. So shout out to everybody that continues to back this book. It is, again, like I said, I'm wrestling with the printer right now. That's a separate issue. I'm keeping it transparent with everybody. This book is done, is ready to get out into your hands. I've got the physical copy right here. I can't wait to get this out. This is everything I love about the books from the 90s, but modified to the current day. Some amazing variant covers, one by Dale Keown, the Pit #1 homage cover with Dale Keown, Joe Chiato, and Chance Wolf jamming again for the first time in 30 years since probably they worked on Pit, did the homage cover for me. I got to work with one of my favorite inkers in Matt Bat Banning on the cover of my book, as well as working with Joe Weems on and not all of them, but a portion of the interior pages as well. So check it out. This book is very, very close to being done. This is my love of everything of the 90s. Dark Heroes, if you like Spawn, if you like Darkness, if you like The Guyver, check it out. If you buy this book expecting it to be a ripoff of those books, you're going to be very, very sad because it's got a very unique story to it, and I can't wait for you guys to dive into it. Very fantasy-filled world building. You guys are going to love it. So check it out. Links are below. We're getting that book out here pretty soon. 75. If we can get to that, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. We're going to try to, but closes down November 9th. And I've been getting a lot of good reviews from people you've seen on the channel. I'm holding them back, but I've got some quotes and stuff I'll get out there eventually. But people are digging it. I'm getting some really good feedback. So thank you to everybody that has done that for me as well. So
do you want to tell them my quote?
Yeah. Well, you go. You tell me quote.
It doesn't suck.
There you go. That's all that matters. That's the best quote you can get.
There you go.
Before we get out of here, though, Thomas, I know we kind of talked about a lot in the show, but is there anything specifically you want to talk about or just mention before we get out of here? Advertise?
Yeah, there was a lot of people asking about some of the books that we've launched or have coming out very, very soon. Obviously, next month is New York City Comic-Con. I will be there. Todd will be there, and we will be announcing several new projects that have not been announced yet. That will be launching in the 2025 year. And not counting Sam and Twitch, there might be another project or two that might have my name in the byline.
All right.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that.
I like that.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. We'll see how that goes.
That is all. Well, I mean, you guys are killing it over there, and you continue to expand it, which is awesome. Like Sean said, we created the Spawn review show specifically because we got so much back into Spawn, starting with issue 350 specifically, but around 300. And everything you guys are doing with the expansion of the universe, the different titles and stuff, we're digging it, digging it. So keep it up. You're making it fun to go back to LCSs again every month or monthly. What are you smiling about?
Speak for yourself. I've been preaching this shit since Jump Street. So like,
I knew you were gonna say that.
We've been through 350. I've been there since. No, I'm kidding.
I knew it. You're gonna throw me right under the bus, live in front of everybody.
Any chance I get.
I knew it. All right, everybody. We're gonna run the short intro, and we're gonna say bye to the chat. Thomas, stick around for just a second.
Yep.
And
thanks,
guys,
chat.
We will be back on Monday for the Spawn review at 9 p.m. We're going to be looking at King Spawn. Going to bring everybody up to date on the story in King Spawn. We're going to look at the newest issue that's been on the shelves. So looking forward to do that. Stick around after that for the second part of the comic block, which is Appreciating Comic Book Art live at 10:15 as well. So until then, everybody be good to each other. Take care of one another. And as always, picture me naked. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.